16 years ago, my first book was stolen by a bunch of guys in Hollywood. They'd read the book, loved it, and offered to help me turn it into a TV show. I signed an optioning agreement with them, and we started working on putting the show together. I wrote an entire pilot season and a full Bible to go along with it. A Bible is where you include all of the characters and the subplot lines, the plot lines that will carry the season through a full season arc. Then it was time, and they started shopping it around to big networks like ABC and Fox. I asked to go to those meetings, but they never took me along with them, and I realize now why not. After these meetings had started, all of a sudden, I just couldn't get a hold of them anymore. And then one day, they were just gone, like totally gone. I had been absolutely ghosted. 1 year later in Los Angeles, driving to work, I looked up and saw a billboard, and I realized that my show had been stolen. Everywhere I looked, this hit TV sitcom was everywhere, and I had nothing to do with it. I never got a penny, no writer's credit, nothing. It was just gone. They'd taken it. So this time around, I'm documenting everything about my new book from page one. And this show, The Making of Unbroken, is my insurance policy against that ever happening again. The crazy thing is this next book is also about my life, but it's about a past life and maybe even one of my future lives. Let me back up. So this all started back in February 2025. A friend of mine offered to do a past life regression for me. And I was a little bit skeptical. I've done one of those before and I didn't totally relate to the session, but this was a friend of mine. I decided to try it. And I walked away knowing that there were some undeniable things that she knew about my real life and some memories I'd had and vacations I'd been on that whatever she was tapping into, there was something legit to it. Not even an hour later, this insane set of synchronicities just started kicking off and my mind was just blown. And that evening, a story crossing lifetimes and spanning centuries just started to pour through me. I'd been invited to a last-minute writer's workshop at Parnassus bookstore here in Nashville, and that event was connected to ancient Greece and the Parthenon replica that's here in Nashville, and also the Muses of Fate from ancient Greek mythology. The next few days were a bit of a whirlwind, and I ended up on a deep dive historical and astrological research excavation. And it hit me that I am racing against a cosmic clock based on real astrological alignments. And this cosmic clock runs out in 2030. So this story is asking to be told like right now. So this time I'm taking you along with me on the journey because this show is my insurance policy. You get to see behind the scenes on how an ambitious fantasy fiction book gets written and published. Because number one, I'm a published author. And number two, I'm also a book publisher. I have my own book publishing company since 2009, and I help publish the voices of other authors in the areas of metaphysics, poetry, fantasy, and fiction. Not only that, I get the protection of knowing I have a shield against the big Hollywood studios, who I know would love to have their hands on what I'm creating. I'm writing this next book with the explicit intention that it evolves into a streaming TV series. So you can think witty, fast dialogue, heavy world building, and sensual international adventure seeking. In the next episode, I'm going to take you into the past life regression, the details of it, and how I wound up connected to the Parthenon and the Parnassus bookstore and the Greek Muses, everything that sort of unfolded as I stepped into that alternate timeline. The synchronicities were so specific, I just could not write them off. Then I'll show you what it takes to architect a complete book Bible. I have this project mapped out by this point. I'll go back and show you what elements are in there and what I designed in from the foundational layer to make sure that this would be easily translatable into a TV series. Okay, final note, there's also something happening right now in Europe at CERN at the Large Hadron Collider that lines up with this book in a way that honestly, if I just shared all the details right now, it'd be a little overwhelming. And you may also assume I was just making it up. So I will show you that part in another episode when we get to it. And I have receipts, of course. If you want to watch a book and eventually a TV series get built from absolutely nothing, go ahead and hit subscribe. I plan to be traveling in the United States and internationally to research locations and in some cases talk to experts in those locations. It's important that I get all the details just right for the bigger crescendo moments in this story, which I believe are also playing out in real life. I don't think that this may end up being just totally a fantasy book. I think it could be fantasy, fiction, and nonfiction mixed together. So we'll see what happens. By subscribing and watching, you get to see everything: the writing, the planning, the research trips, and the behind the scenes on the synchronicities that are pulling this whole thing together. Hit like and subscribe. The next episode drops tomorrow.